Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's good to see your faces, and I hope I will be able to hold your attention and entertain your noses for the incoming hour. I've been told that I need to stay put in the light, so I'm going to speak to you like a dictator from behind this little fortress, but I hope it goes okay. There is going to be some interaction, and feel free to take photos, make recordings, whatever you please. And today we have met to talk about designing sensory experience for customers. And when we say customers, it can be consumers of basically anything. It can be a major event for a brand, for a corporation, but it can also be a small party for your family. It can be a birthday party for your children. It can be a barbecue gathering in your garden. So whatever gathers people and wherever there are supposed to be lasting impressions, the senses are the things that we want to engage, and the senses are what we want to focus on. Interestingly, we seem to be ashamed of our senses. Very often we dismiss what we feel. Very often we think that the things we think are more important than the things we feel. Whatever comes from the thinking brain, from the rational brain, we value more. Also when it comes to focus groups where we measure reactions to products or to services, we very often concentrate on the things people declare. People very often declare what is good for their own image, what enhances and boosts their self-image as rational people. We have been suffering this rational approach to senses since the Enlightenment, when we decided that the sense of smell is very animalic and this is unworthy of the thinking human. And interestingly, senses are what make our decisions and what drive also loyalty to the brand. You may ask yourself why you choose this specific brand of a car, and you may ask yourself if this is really the functionality of your smartphone that made you use it, or maybe it is the way it feels in your hand, maybe it's the smoothness of the cover, maybe this is the silky touch of the screen. I know people that simply like their devices. They say that they grow fond of their headphones, of their smartphones, of the tablets, of their bags. I think very often we buy with the heart, and the heart is driven by the nose, by the fingers, by the mouth, by the ears. When we think about establishments such as cafes, restaurants, bars, pubs, we very often think that we go there for the core experience, which seems to be the food or the drinks. But then again, if you think of the places that you never visited more than once, was it because the food experience was substandard? Or maybe the lights were too bright? Maybe the music was stressful? Maybe the thing you saw from the window wasn't satisfying? Maybe when you were wearing a miniskirt or shorts, the fabric of the sofa you were sitting on was scratching your thighs in an unpleasant way? Maybe the table you were leaning on during the meeting was cold and the edges were sharp and they were hurting your forearms? Maybe the chair was simply uncomfortable, or maybe the wood from the chair was chipped a little and it damaged your tights or your pants or your dress. Very often we have those subtle cues coming from the senses which make us choose this place over the other. And very often when we think deeply, it's not about the coffee, it's not about the burger, it's about the way we feel when we are there. So you can make a tiny experiment, and next time you visit the place you really like, try to think what made you feel like this. Sometimes it's a very tiny thing that makes you comfortable. It may be the lighting, it may be the ambient sounds, or sometimes the sounds, or the touches, the smells, like the smell of the toilet, can be off-putting. It may prevent you from visiting the place again. When we think about books, very often I hear conversations between people who have book readers such as Kindle and those who prefer analog books. And I'm a Kindle user. I really like the lightness of this device, and I really like the fact that I can take 1,000 books with me on a holiday, which is impossible to pack in a suitcase. But now think how many of the books you have, books in paper form, have you thrown away? Have you ever thrown a book away? Do you think you could throw away a book? Or maybe you are more likely to give it to someone or to share It's so much easier to delete a PDF file from your reader than it is to throw away a book. And it seems that we have very strong sensory and emotional links to material books. And this is also connected with one of the first olfactory memories that is imprinted in our brain. As soon as we are born, and you probably know it, we get in touch with this very potent molecule called vanillin. Vanillin is present in the milk of many mammals, also in human milk. And when we are fed, no matter if this is breastfeeding or if we are fed from the bottle, the smell of vanillin that we get through retroolfaction when we swallow the milk is associated very strongly with the intimacy and the strong emotional contact we have with the mother or with the person who is feeding us. This becomes a very strong emotional anchor. So vanillin means comfort. Vanillin is safety. Interestingly, vanillin can be derived from cellulose pulp. And in old books, as the paper starts aging, as paper becomes older, there is vanillin produced naturally in the paper. So this addictive smell of old books, the smell that makes us go, every time we open an old book, it's not only about the emotions we felt when we were reading the story, it's not only about the power of the poetry, it's also about the smell. So this is what makes us linked to the books. The longer we have them, the fonder we grow. There was an interesting study about articles and publications. Very often, especially when we subscribe to newsletters from various fields, I guess your inboxes are probably loaded with newsletters coming from different places, and very often when we look at the headlines, we think, oh, this is interesting, I must read it. And then the next day comes, the newsletter goes down below the line in the smartphone where we can no longer see it, and we end up not reading that after all. But it seems that if there is a printed copy of something and we start browsing, we are 80% more likely to read more than one article in a publication if we can get it in a physical, analog paper form. So if there is a collection of articles from any field and we are interested in only one, when we read this publication in a digital form, we will probably only read the article we came for. But if we get a book, if we get a brochure, we are very likely to peruse the whole publication and think, oh, this is also interesting, and read it, bookmark it, and come back to it later. Again, a book is so much more visible when it's just lying there on our coffee table than just an immaterial publication stowed somewhere on our device. So if you touch it, you will most probably read it. And again, if your customers touch it, they are much more likely to read it. Someone once told me that they prefer paper books over Kindle because they can't bookmark a Kindle story with a photo of a loved one. And I thought I didn't remember what they said when they said it until a couple of years ago when something really touching for me happened here in Milan. It was actually just in the garden a few blocks away. I had come to Milan to see my favorite artist, Chris Cornell, in concert. And as luck would have it, the next day, the day after the concert, I stumbled upon him walking with his son in the nearest park, just a couple of streets away. And my boyfriend took a photo of him, and I printed the photo. And I always use the photo to bookmark any book I'm reading. So I came here with Luca Turin's Folio. I highly recommend it. It's a very interesting collection of articles, very witty and very funny, very insightful, as Luca Turin would have it. And I always have the photo with me. So every time I open the book, I think of this dear moment, and then I feel nostalgia, and I feel the love, and I feel the tenderness, because I can touch it, I can feel it. It means so much more than you might think, being physically able to lay your eyes on something that you can touch, involving more than one sense. And this is what I will be showing you today, how important it is to link and engage more than one sense in an experience. We are sensory beings, and we know that even cognition starts with the senses. You need to engage your eyes, you need to engage your ears to learn something and then start thinking about it. And it seems that sensory experience makes events more memorable. So if we meet for a specific purpose and we just look at each other, one person or more does the talking and the rest of the people do the listening, then let's say the memorability depends on the level of how much interesting the presentation is, right? And apparently, people are more likely to share experiences that involve a sensory stimulus. So I decided to challenge this theory, and let's see if it works. What I have for you is some candy, and we are going to distribute the candy now. Please take one and pass the bag forward. And let's see if next year you will still remember my presentation, only because you got the candy to suck on. I can only hope that the things I'm saying will be more memorable than the candy, but hey, why not help myself? And whenever you can experience something that touches the senses that were not primarily involved in experience, the chance of people sharing it, tweeting about it, posting about it, talking about it, and encouraging other people to experience it will be much higher. If we can touch it, smell it, taste it, hear it, feel it, especially when it comes as a surprise, we will be much more influenced by it and we will share the influence on other people. It seems that smells, tastes, and touches can make or break a product, and you will see that nowadays businesses are striving to add this sensory value to a product or a service that has existed for decades or sometimes for centuries. And you may ask yourself, what else can I do to make it special? You have top quality product, you have top quality service, you have good communication. What else is there to bring to people? And this, what you can or cannot see on the screen, is a photo taken during a dining event when people were dining in complete darkness. You have probably heard many stories about dining in the dark. Dining in the dark is an experience that engages mostly the sense of touch, the sense of smell, and the sense of taste. And it shows that people are looking for something extra. They are even ready to eat something less impressive and to drink something more average, not really spectacular, because the experience becomes more important than the food or drink itself. And I had the pleasure to do a project 2 years ago in Warsaw, in Poland, where I come from, with a friend of mine, Alexander Baron, who is a chef. We prepared a dinner for guests of a company that was pitching a product that wants to stand out because of the quality of blackness it delivers. Okay, I don't want to make any product placement, but let's just say generally that blackness was the main theme of the dinner, and the press conference was about showing people how black things can be. So we prepared a menu of black scents. I prepared a variety of scents that can be interpreted as black, as dark, and the chef created a couple of snacks that were all pitch black. We also had plates and bowls made to measure. Specifically for this event, we even had charcoal cheese, which was completely black, and the guests were eating with their blindfolds on. So it was eating black things in darkness, smelling black scents. Then I could see that the whole party was very quiet and contemplative. So we also managed to put them in a quasi-meditative state, even though this wasn't our intention. But we made them focus on the senses, also try to think in a more abstract way. Can we really smell and feel the darkness? What does it mean? In fact, it turns out that each one of us has this sensory imagery that tells you what is light and what is dark, what is bright and what has no color. So you just need to focus on it for a moment, and then your inner imagination starts blooming. You probably know what this is. It's fish pedicure. The fact that people started being interested in alternative ways of such simple treatments and rituals as a pedicure shows that people want this extra. It's not only about having smooth feet, it's also about the way in which it happens. So this tiny fish, it feeds off the skin on the feet, and they apparently end up smooth. I've never tried it myself because I have tickles, but if you don't have tickles, you are very much welcome to do it. And a couple of years ago, ASMR, I don't know if you are familiar with this term. ASMR is a phenomenon which is more or less, we can just make a rough definition. It gives you tingles and tickles in response to particular sounds. And it used to be a very niche thing to like. People would whisper into the microphone from a very close proximity. There would be slurping sounds, cracking sounds, crunching sounds, stroking different things, crumbling, rustling, very, very subtle sounds that are supposed to evoke this meridian response when you get the chills going down your spine and you feel deeply relaxed. And it was, as I said, very niche. People would just share it because they enjoyed it. Interestingly, last year, corporations like IKEA, they started being interested in this ASMR movement. And IKEA even created a whole set of commercials where they focus on the feel of the furniture. So how does your skin and your ears feel when you sit on a sofa? And for example, you will see shortly that there is a whole video, there is a bunch of videos, but this video is made. You will hear a sound that sounds a little bit like waves crashing on the shore. Interestingly, the sound doesn't come from the sea. This is the sound of a human hand just stroking the sofa. So I hope you'll be able to hear it on the speakers. You can close your eyes to focus on the sounds. So this undulating sounds like waves, this is just from touching the sofa. What you can see here is, it's called Sonora. It's a wooden tube. It's big enough to fit an adult person. And the Sonora is used for deep relaxation. You enter inside the tube and you lie flat in it, like in a tunnel. And the whole tube is coiled with metal coils that are then used as strings, and the whole tube resonates and gives you a very relaxing experience. It's like being massaged by the sound. So you experience it with your head, with your chest, with your stomach, with your legs, with your feet. There is a person standing outside and they play on the strings which resonate, and they give you the trembling sensation on the body. It's like a spa in the center of a city, and you can just experience this deep relaxation. During a hectic day, the sessions are very short. It's just a couple of minutes, and it gives you this sensory boost. It's a completely different impression from the things we experience daily. The element of surprise. I told you that it's really good to surprise the senses and give people things that they didn't hope for. I don't know if you are familiar with dipping dots. This is what dipping dots look like. This is actually ice cream. The ice cream was created by accident. There was a biotechnologist who was looking for solutions for animal fodder, for different forms of pellets that will be then used to make granules of animal food. And it turns out that if you freeze cream at the temperature of minus 350 degrees Celsius, you create ice cream pellets that will burst and melt on your tongue, giving you this very surprising experience. Normally, when we eat ice cream, we either scoop it with a spoon, we put it on the tongue and it starts melting, or we lick it and then a very thin layer of the ice cream stays on the tongue and it starts melting. Or we can bite into a popsicle and then it starts melting. But this bursting experience was what made Dippin' Dots so successful. People just liked the crackling and popping on the tongue, even though the flavor of the ice cream was pretty much standard. Also, the element of surprise works very nicely when it comes to textures and colors. Here we have an image by an artist called Renderburger. We'll see a video shortly. It's just pomegranate fruit. Not yet, please. The colors of the fruit are very arresting. And it makes you think if it's edible. What does it taste like? Is the blue edible at all? Does nature give us blue things to eat? And Renderburger is very tongue-in-cheek, so he likes experimenting with textures. There should be a video for it. Okay, so I guess you would never expect this kind of content in a toilet. All right, and this ad is a couple of years old, but I think you will see how the element of surprise works also for cosmetic products.
Begins to burn at your very soul. That's the sweet touch of love. Oh, when just a drop of a name begins to sting your very toe. That's the sweet touch of love. Oh, yes it is. Just the thought of not seeing you would blow my mind. Oh, that's the sweet touch of love. Oh, yes it is. I was about to give up, but you came just in time. With your sweet touch of love. Oh, yes.
Okay, who wouldn't like to be that guy, right? It's all about the sensory imagination. When we show people things that involve the senses, many of us will actually feel the things that are portrayed in a video or in a picture, even though we are not actually experiencing that. Have a look at this. How do you think wearing this jumpsuit feels, especially when it's hot outside? I can see your faces from here. It's mostly disgust. So, yeah, you can feel the itch and the stinging of the wool on naked skin. So you can easily imagine it. Maybe some of you even feel it without actually wearing it. Now, this bread, it's not only about the tactile impressions, how it feels. It's not only about the smell of fresh bread that is very easily evoked, but think about the sound that this knife makes when we start cutting into it. I guess this is one of the most divine sounds on earth, cutting fresh bread. And I also believe that scents have the ability of transporting us to different places, some of them really distant. And we are going to use the latest model of Oculus to experience the scents, because I would like to take you in some places. This is the analog model of Oculus. So if you could please just put it on your hands, on your heads. And then you will get a couple of things to smell, and I'm curious where it will take you. Please give us a second to give the blindfolds to everyone. Thank you. And I will use this brief moment to prepare the blotters. Please remember not to touch your nose with the blotter so that then your nose stays clean and fresh throughout the whole day. Do not inhale too deeply. Just try to sniff like a dog that is catching a trail so that the scent doesn't irritate. your trigeminal nerve and doesn't trigger a headache. I would really appreciate your feedback, so when we smell it, you are very welcome to say where you are. Just stretch out your hand and I will put a blotter in your hands. Here you go. Here you go. Please take it, please take it. All right. Smell it. Close your eyes. Leave the blindfold on. And try to tell me where it takes you. Where are you? Is there a place that smells like this? Here you go. Here you go. Thanks. Here you are. Here you are. Yes, thank you. You're a good assistant. Here you are. Okay. Sir, there's one for you here. And can you give Anna, the person sitting next to you, the other one? Thank you. Here you go, ma'am. Here you are. Thank you. I'll be back in a moment. So, any places? Anyone? Forest? Okay. If you could speak up so that more people can hear you. A pharmacy. Is there a building or a part of a building that feels like that, smells like that? Sometimes people say basement or a dungeon. And is it wet or dry in this place? Do you feel safe in there? Okay. Do you think something romantic might happen in a place that smells like this? Not really. Do you think this place could be inspiring for poets? All right, please leave the blindfolds on. We'll give you one more thing. Some of you may even have a narrative already going on in your head. Maybe you have some memories that this smell evoked. Maybe it took you to a particular place that is intimate and you don't want to share the memory. When I smell it, I would say it puts me in an old church, wooden church with a stone floor. So this is scent number 2. Please be ready. I will start from the back this time. And you will see that wearing the blindfold really enhances the feeling. It's something much different than, excuse me, sorry, I can't reach so far. Can you ask your friend to, okay, thanks. Here you go. And one more. And if you could share, here you go. So it will take a couple of more seconds before everyone gets their blotter, but we are getting there. So where are you now? India. Okay. Is this a specific time of the year? Summer, okay. Is it warm or cold? Does it make you feel happier or sadder than a moment before? And is this place happier than the place you visited before? Okay. Does it make you feel more hopeful? Is there any vegetation around? Are there any plants growing around you? And if you were surrounded by people, would you expect a crowd of men or women? Okay, so you can see that you can actually design different experiences. If you answer the questions, where do I want to be? What are the elements of the place? What are the olfactive elements, but also tactile and emotional? Then you can create an experience that will take people to the places that not necessarily mean the place you had designed to take them to, but it's usually a place they have experienced before, so you create a strong emotional link. Okay, you can take the blindfolds off, and you are very welcome to keep them if you want to test any perfumes today with the blindfolds. Then I highly recommend it because it really enhances the feeling, and it lets you concentrate on the scent itself. So you can take them off now, but just you are welcome to put them in the bag and use them later. It's also great for beauty sleep, so you can use it at night. I just need to check the time. All right, we still have a couple of minutes. And before we play the video, I would like you to bear with me for a couple of minutes. This video is about 3 minutes long. It was made for AICP, which is an association of independent commercial producers. The music is by Major Lazer, and you will see. This is a very simple concept, but it's very sophisticated when it comes to textures. You will basically hear dancing music, and you will see a couple of creatures, because they are not really people, dancing to the music. And those creatures will be made of different materials. They will be spiky, they will be soft, they will be spongy, they will be stinging to the touch, they will be smooth and silky. I would like you to look at the creatures and just decide which one do you like best and what is it that makes you like them. I think everyone will have their own personal preference. Okay.
Stand up like a soldier, baby. Yeah, I know you been like that. Gun it like a holster, baby. Show them say you're wicked like that. We live where the war is raging, chasing our crazy dreams, hoping that the bridge won't cave in. So now we'll let it all go free. Give me the thing, I made me rockin' at the dance. Give me the thing, I made me rockin' at the dance. My shit don't like stepping at the dance. Give me the thing, I made me rock. Give me the thing, I made me rockin' at the dance. Give me the thing, I made me rockin' at the dance. My shit don't like stepping at the dance. Give me the thing, I made me light it up.
Show them your flame to the fire. It's spraying like your name on a flyer. They wanna tame your desire, but you light it up, now your aim getting higher. I dey wait for Messiah, but until that day I'ma rise up high. I put my light in the air, I wanna see everywhere. Let me see you. You might do for the sequel. Be my day for my people. I know say I'm out to be next like my neighbor. Let me see you. Your light us up. Light us up.
Light it up.
Let me see you. You might do for the sequel. Be my day for my people. I know say I'm out to be next like my neighbor. Let me see you. You might do for the sequel. Your light us up. Light us up.
Blaze like a candle wick. Yeah, light it up.
I talked to a group of children about this video, and they told me that some of the creatures made them scared. and some of them were cuddly. There were some creatures that they were more likely to trust, and others that were more funny and playful. And you can see that every of those creatures were basically doing the same. They were just dancing. It was only about the colors and the textures that made you have different feelings about them. So this phenomenon of things being booba, which means that they are rounded and soft, and things being kiki, which means that they are spiky and hard to the touch, it evokes a very specific response. I encourage you to Google booba and kiki, which are the phenomena of things being rounded and feminine, and then angular, spiky, and masculine, and different values that we attribute to them. You can watch this video a couple of times and see that very often the creatures that you like most or you pay most attention to, they reflect your current mood. And this is also interesting, that we can check how people feel, or we can make them feel in a specific way only by using textures, because the moves and the sounds were the same. Just to finish off, I would like to show you briefly a case that we did in the studio 2 years ago. The whole customer experience was based on engaging people's senses in a very specific environment, which is a fitness club. You may think that you go to a fitness club to work out because it's supposed to make you look better and to make you feel better. But it seems that there is more to it than that, and we can focus the sensory stimuli depending on what state is desired for the mind and the body. We divided the whole club into a couple of zones. The first zone, which you see in the middle circle, is the fit bar. The fit bar is the place of meetings for the people who are members of the fitness club. And the mind is focused, because people usually visit the fitness club before they start the workout. They visit the fit bar before they start the workout, so they are focused in the training that is ahead. But the body is relaxed because they haven't started working out yet. And then when they go to the gym floor, both the mind and the body are focused, so we will influence the mind and the body in a specific way on the gym floor, which will be different from the fit bar area. And finally, the locker room and the sauna, which is the common area, where mind and body they are both relaxed because you are usually post-workout. So let's see how we did it. At the entrance of the fit bar, we installed a diffuser that diffuses the smell of green tea, mint, and cardamom. In the process of creative mapping and sensory mapping, we decided together with the client that the main theme is going to be greenness. Anything that comes to your mind when you think about green, things being new, fresh, vegetation waking up to life, stalks, leaves of grass, flowers, freshness, youthfulness, juiciness. These are all the concepts around the greenery. So you can smell green as soon as you enter the club. And then there is also the senses that are engaged are also smell and taste, because there is an infusion for the club members to drink. It's infused water with green tea, mint, and cardamom. You can also refill your water bottle and take it with you to training. So of course it's very subtle. The infusion is not flavored in any way. It's just got this subtle smell. Also, when you feel thirsty, what you can purchase at the Fit Bar is specially prepared drink that is a mix of lime, cucumber, mint, and cilantro. It's very refreshing, and it's also a power drink, very low in calories and very strongly hydrating, that you can use before or after the workout. In winter time, there is also optional hot infusion that you can use to warm up your body when you come from the outside. Winters in Poland can be quite challenging. So this hot infusion with cardamom, mint, and lemon, sugar-free, or you can add honey if you want. It just gives you a slight warm-up, and it's still communicating the greenness to the senses. Oops. Crazy you. Where were we? Then there is a power drink. It's more of a meal for the people who train. It's a smoothie composed with kale, spinach, parsley, kiwi, and spirulina and chlorella. It's superfood that also boosts the immune system, still around the theme of greenness. Why is this happening? There are also pots of fresh mint standing in the doorway and around the fit bar area. So you can also rub the leaves of mint for this kick of freshness and greenness. And you can purchase a blend of citrus oils to take away. We recommend using the citrus oils in the car, especially if you drive to your morning training. Just put a drop on the mat under your feet, just one drop that will evaporate during the ride, and it can help you stay awake. So it's like a booster, and you can take the citrus oil blend home with you. On the gym floor, we installed a station that is a diffuser with fresh peppermint oil. You can go there and turn it on. It's just a very fine mist dispersing peppermint oil. You can inhale it a couple of times and switch it off, so it's not working all the time. It's more like taking a cup of water and drinking it. Here you just go there and you charge your batteries with the mint oil because it's a known stimulant. So you can stimulate your senses by simply taking a very short, a couple of seconds aromatherapy session in the middle of the gym floor. And then we go to the locker rooms, where each locker has a padded sachet inside that smells of bamboo and green tea. So when you open the locker, it doesn't smell of this typical smell of gym clothes and shoes. It gives you this nice green boosts of bamboo and green tea. In the shower stalls, we've got mint shower gels. And in the common area, there is citrus hand wash, because the scent, it stays and lingers on your skin, and it makes you feel and smell the green freshness throughout the day. Also, it disappears from the body quite quickly, so if you don't want to smell of citrus for the whole day, you want to wear your personal perfume, you can do it, because it's just a couple of minutes. You know that citrus scents don't linger for a very long time. Then in sauna, still the sense of smell is stimulated by essential oils of mint and rosemary. You can use it in the sauna to relax and to boost your immune system. And in the swimming pool, this is the place, this is like the pre-pool where you disinfect your feet. The water is infused with lemon eucalyptus oil, which has antibacterial properties and also gives your feet a very fresh eucalyptus-y touch. Also, we decided to make people the carriers of the scent. The staff is not wearing the perfumes they usually wear. They are wearing a specific perfume that is a blend of mint and verbena. So whenever you interact with one of the trainers or the reception staff, they all have this very fresh mint verbena smell, all of them, which is a link between all the elements that we designed. So you can see that we try to touch the senses from various perspectives. It's the things we touch, but also the things we drink, the things we eat, people we meet. Everywhere we go, there is, every couple of steps, there is an opportunity to interact with the smell, but it's also your choice if you want to interact with the smell or not. It's very important not to attack people with smell and make them smell it. That's why I'm strongly against infusing the whole area with smell, because it can become a stressor. It's just better to create a landscape that takes you from a bush to a lake, from a tree to a hill, and you just see it and experience it after a couple of steps, not all the time. So you will see that this year's edition of Esxence will touch the customer experience, marketing, brand communication in a variety of ways. And there are many interesting workshops and many interesting speeches that I highly recommend. Please stay with us and keep your noses open, let yourselves be inspired, and the senses are in the center of our attention today, so I hope it will spark new interest and new ideas in you. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you next time. The applause is for you guys. Thank you so much.